What's up, guys? Today we're going to be looking at app 8, RFC. We're going to create an app that when the user inputs his first name, his father's last name, his mother's last name, his birth year, birth month, and birthday, he will be returned his RFC, or his national ID. So the national ID in Mexico is created by the first two letters of your last name, or your first last name, your father's last name, the first letter of your mother's last name, the first letter of your first name, the year you were born, the last two digits of the year, the month you were born from 1 to 12, and the day of the month you were born. We're going to ignore the homoclave for now. So first things first, we have to create a new application in Xcode. A new project. And as always, a single view app, and we're going to name this app8_RID. Create. So we're going to head over to our main.storyboard and start adding our objects. So we're going to add a label for the title. We're going to name this RFC generator. Let's make it bigger. Maybe add some bold. Forgot to change this to an iPhone SE as well as here. And center your label. Perfect. Then we are gonna add our text fields where the user will input his information. So when we usually would put a label on top, there's a setting called a placeholder when you could put what you're asking the user to input. So I'm going to put here names. As you can see, it's not written there, it's just a placeholder. Center this. Oops. Copy and paste names. So the first one is my first name. Next is my placeholder, I have to change it. Father's last name. And lastly, mother's last name. Then I'm gonna add the birth year. Gonna add 4 digits. I want the user to input 4 digits there. Maybe make it a little bit smaller. We're gonna ask the user for his or her birth month, and that's 2 digits. And lastly, his or her birthday of the month, 2 digits as well. So I'm gonna maybe make some space here. Okay. Next up, we're going to add a label which will say your RFC is and 2 points whenever we create a new RFC. So we're going to make it blank for now. Make it bigger. Maybe center it. And there we go. We're going to create a copy. And this label on the bottom will display the RFC once the user clicks the button that we're going to create in just 1 second. So this one's good. Then the button to generate the RFC code. We're going to call this generate. I'm going to put it on the right or wherever. And we're going to create a new one which will wipe the information the user previously inputted, so a new user can input new information. Okay, so that's it for my objects. Now I have to create my connections. I'm going to go below class, make some space, and start generating my connections. So the first one I'm going to name txt, telling the user that is a text field. First name, yeah. I'm going to add some comments so I can remember in the future. These connections, objects. Next one is my father's last name. I'm going to name it txt father name. Txt mother name. Txt birth year. Txt birth month. And finally txt birthday. We have to also connect our labels. I'm going to name this one your pass is, or your RFC is, and this one I'm going to name it, oh, I forgot to add label referencing the name of the variable, so I'm going to go back. I deleted it and right click and delete that connection. I'm going to connect it again. Label your RFC is, and label RFC itself. Perfect. Now those are my connections. Lastly, I have to generate my first button connection, which I'm going to name button generate. And buttons are always action and always UI button. And my clear button. Button clear. UI button connect. So I have all the connections I require. Now I have to create my well, I don't have to put a comment here. So while we previously would write something like label, which is rfc.text is equals to, and add the different variables, text, first name, or whatever, .text plus. What we're gonna do, since we're working with strings and integers, strings for the names, integers for the birth year, month, and day, we're gonna create a constant. So to create a constant, we have to write let and create the constant name. We're gonna name it rfc1 equal to, and then we're gonna add all of our different strings here. So for the RFC code, first is the 2 letters of my father's name. So we're gonna go to father txt father name dot text, but we don't want the whole last name. We don't want Mendes. We just want ME. So we're gonna use the method prefix, as we want the first 2 characters. And then we're gonna go to text mother name dot text prefix as well, but this one's just gonna be 1 letter here, this one. And lastly, text first name dot text dot prefix 1. And that's our first constant. So RFC1 will contain all these things. So we get an error here, and this error is saying that initializing the value RFC1 was never used. Consider replace. So it's saying that we've never used RFC1 previously in our code. So it's just like, do you have an error there? Did you want to really write RFC1 or something else? So since it's not a red error, it's just like a precaution. So we're just gonna skip it. Next, I'm gonna add RFC2. Sorry about this, let me just close this. And add our I'm gonna put some comments on this one. This is constant that contains all strings. And this one, content that contains all integers. We're gonna add all of our integers here, starting with birth, text birth year, dot text, dot suffix, since we want the last two. So if it was 1993, we just want the 93, plus birth month. As you can see, Xcode is really good at telling you what you're trying to write. So we want txt birth month dot text, and since it's 2 digits, we can just put it like that, and txt birthday dot text. Okay, lastly, we have to create RFC, another constant that will combine RFC1 and RFC2. However, since we're using integers in this RFC2, we have to change, sort of tell the program that these two have to be converted to strings before we add them. Okay? There we have our RFC. Lastly, we have to change our label. So we're going to change our label RFC text to RFC. However, since the user will probably input something like their uppercase letter, then lowercase, we want everything in uppercase. So we can just put period uppercase. We saying strings. There's an error, and there we go. It's colored now. Label RFC text equals RFC uppercase. So it's saying we have an error here. Process, did you call? Oh yeah, we have to add the 2 parentheses at the end, even though we don't have to reference anything. So it's just changing this to uppercase. Okay, perfect. Lastly, we have to change our label password. Your label, your RFC is dot text equal to your RFC is, that's it, and that's the end of our button. The next button, clear, we have to clear everything that the last user inputted, so a new user can input their information. So really simple, we just have to add the variables we created. This one's text first name, and make them equal to 2 empty how do you call them, 2 empty quotes. So the 2 empty quotes will make the whatever the user inputted here equal to 0, or no, not equal to nothing, absolutely nothing. So we can just copy and paste this, as we're just going to be changing the text field name. So the next text field is father name, and the next is mother name. Control paste, Apple paste. Then we have to change birth year. Month. And we're going to change our labels to the same value. Label RFC equals 2, and label, we have to change the text here. Label your dot text equal to blank comma. So we can start by running this. And as usual, prepping your code for our screenshots. Make it a little bit bigger. While that is loading, we're going to go to assignments. Okay, this is loading quicker than my browser though. Just gonna click over to course content. And we are going to head over to assignments, second partial. And this is where we're gonna submit our assignments. So we're gonna try it out. Birth month, day, and generate. Perfect. And if we were to clear, we would just click clear. But for our screenshot, we would like to have some information there. So I'm going to input it once more, generate, and that's perfect for my screenshot. Okay, I can quit the simulator, save Xcode, close it, stop tasks, and upload my assignments. So I'll have it in documents, this one. Oh, I almost forgot. We have to compress it first. So we have to head over to my documents or wherever you saved your project, and I'm going to click compress. And I know I have my screenshot here. And now I can upload my work, my zip file, and my screenshot. And there we go.